Welcome back everyone to Europa Universalis 4 with the Great Culture Wars. Now, something that I have been wondering for quite some time now is how exactly does Normandy actually hold on to their various colonies? Now, Normandy has been reduced to basically a 3-province minor, it would seem, here in Europe over the last few wars, and you really wonder how can this nation manage to control this gigantic colony. And you know, it's not just Norman Canada, it's also Norman Colombia and basically all of Australia and New Zealand combined. And since this question also came up recently in the comment section, I thought we might as well check it out. And surprisingly, the liberty desire of all of our subjects is at exactly 0. And the reason is that provinces have been developed. So apparently the Norman AI has spent a huge amount of points in developing the provinces of their colonies. I mean, this is insane. Minus 240 liberty desire, but this is where it gets really insane. Minus 600 liberty desire. So obviously they're never gonna rise up, which, you know, it's a smart strategy, although I would assume it's actually smarter in a sense to just put this into your own provinces. So anyway, one other thing that I should probably mention is it's not just that. It's also that even though the Normans look very small, they do have 500 development on their own. Most of this development is in fact coming from their overseas colonies, because if we have a look at the relations map mode and the diplomatic map mode, we can see that you know, the Normans have provinces all across the globe, basically splattered around in the Spice Islands and India, and then also further in Asia. And obviously every single province has at least 11 development, and we have some like here in Japan that are 21 development, and the Norman heartlands also have a little bit more development. Well, maybe the capital has 22, and I think Alencon is at 27. So yeah, this all just, you know, ticks up to 500 development at some point. But yeah, most of this comes from developing your colonial nation, which I think is kind of cool. Also, I think that was requested quite a while ago to check out the idea groups that each of the great powers has picked. So I think we'll start with the Norman ideas. Obviously the ideas, these regular ideas are the same for every nation. I've set them up, and I think I went over them in the beginning. But yeah, other than that, we can see administration, obviously helping with that core creation cost. Exploration is very smart as well. We've got expansion also helping. And then basically for extra force limit, we have quantity. Defensive is not a bad pick, especially the morale is useful. And then economic and trade to support a big army. And obviously all the colonization. So overall, that makes a lot of sense. I do wonder how the other great powers have picked. So let's quickly let's check out which great powers are next on the list. That would be the Muscovites. So let's check them out and see what kind of ideas they have picked. Now they started off with religious. Interesting. Now do bear in mind that I'm not playing on the latest patch. This is still actually the 1.19 patch of EU4. So the religious ideas are still much stronger than they used to be, with the Dias Volt perk being right at the beginning. Then obviously we also have a defensive, offensive, they have no quantity, which is interesting. Espionage being picked here. I wonder how useful that really is. And economic trade seems to be something AI always picks up. And then diplomatic. Don't really know how useful that is, honestly. But, I mean, the Muscovites are doing well, so I suppose they picked well. Other than that, who do we have? By the way, we apparently have Parliament. Interesting. I wasn't aware of that. Cool. But yeah, other than that, let's quickly check out some of the other great powers. That would be Crimea. Obviously, the Crimeans, they have not been a great power for too long. They have, apparently, they're now in another war. We'll check that out in a second. But yeah, they've only recently become a great power after defeating the Ryazanians in this huge war where they took about like 20 provinces. Really cool. But yeah, so let's check out their ideas as well. Once again, we'll see economic and trade, espionage as well. Innovative, very late. I think that's a really bad pick. Both defensive and innovative are actually much better to be picked early. Espionage, overall, not really all too useful, these idea groups, but, well, Crimea is doing well for themselves, so who am I to judge? For now, though, I think we're quickly gonna leave the individual countries, and we'll actually check out the wars that we have got going on. We left off last episode with a war between the Sami and Ryazan, so the Sami apparently finished off that war, and... But we can't exactly see what they took. I think they may have just retaken some of their cores. That's quite possible. And they certainly reduced the Ryazanians in size. So they have basically... They're cut in three. They have the Ryazanian Ural, then they have their... I think their capital over here somewhere in the Himalayas. Where is their... Yeah, Yarkand is their capital. 22 development. I mean, that's not too shabby. And then we have Ryazanian Tibet down here as well. Alright. So yeah, they've taken that, and as I said, we'll check out the current war that's going on. We have a Syrian-Scottish imperialist war. The Syrians, together with the Crimeans, Moroccans, and Turkish, attacking the Scots and their personal union, the Galicians, as well as their allies, the Leonese, and their various colonial nations. So I want to actually check that out in the diplomatic map mode once again. As you can see, I've actually taken the time between episodes to set up my map modes again, because I just really like it much better with this. So yeah, this is what we have, this is what we can see. Obviously the power base of this alliance is coming from this sort of triangle, the Turkish-Syrian alliance that we have seen for a long time, but also Crimea being in there. This is where they are strong. They will probably, with Syrian, South China and Bengal, they will dominate Asia. I'm quite sure that the Galicians cannot really stand against this. Also, the Leonese have quite a lot. I think they've increased their power base here in Manchuria, but still, I don't think they have a whole lot of forces. Their power base is most likely stemming from the Leonese holdings here in Iberia. They're going to push hard into Morocco here, and they will probably force them out of the war prematurely, although they're actually not pushing forward as much as I would have expected them. They did get pieced out though. So I think, yeah, Morocco's already out of the war. That was quick. That was really quick. And I don't think they had to give up anything. They were just really pushed out of this war very, very fast. That's actually impressive. So the vendors obviously winning this. Once again, these wars, these imperialist wars that the AI loves to declare, they're very stupid, because for the most part, they are never going to reach their enemy's capital, and therefore there's always going to be a 25 war score, ticking war score against them. So they're never really going to get far. But you know, if all the AI nations do it, I guess it kind of evens itself out. But yeah, I must honestly say I'm not really sure where the main fights are going on in this war. I can't really. I mean, yeah, all of America is completely under control of the Leonese here, so yeah, there's no opposition at all. So I suppose they're either fighting here, but Crimea piecing out here as well, so this is not going to go anywhere. Yeah, this is certainly not going anywhere. Alright, well, I guess we'll, in that case, continue to check out the idea groups. We now have the Scots on, well, or the Syrians on rank 5, because we checked those 3. So let's quickly check out what kind of ideas the Syrians have picked. You are apparently at peace. You have peaced out. Okay, that was really not a productive war, to be honest here. You have gone with administrative first. Very good for that adaptability. Trade, obviously increasing your income. Very smart. Picking economic and trade very early on. Quality helping with the well, just overall quality of your troops. I'm surprised that Syria did not go for quantity as well. Defensive picking late, I think that's a bad choice. Exploration and expansion for the extra colonists certainly is useful as well. Although at this point, I mean, a lot of nations I see sitting around with 6 colonists and they don't really have anything to do anymore. But that's okay, you know. Other than that, what would be the next nation? That would be the Scots and then the English that we can check out. So let's check out the Scots first and see what they have picked. Espionage is their first idea group. Well, that didn't really go too well for them, I would say. And they're now really pumping up that military. Started off with quantity, and then for a long time, they've been focusing on exploration, expansion, and then they went with offensive and now defensive. I wonder if there's any nation, and if any nation's going to pick naval idea, it's got to be the English, right? I wonder if anyone has gone for this, but it doesn't seem like it. Humanist is here, being picked first. Alright, well, we kind of see like the same general ideas all the time. I wonder, what are the ones that are not ever being picked? I think I've never seen maritime ideas, never seen naval ideas, or aristocratic, or influence. I think those are the four we have never seen DI pick at all, which is actually kind of interesting. Yeah, other than that, we have the Leonese, who, yeah, well, we shall see what they have picked. They already have their 8th group, their last group picked. So they have 3 military ideas. They're just absolutely going nuts in recruiting here, which is kind of funny. Administrative, a bit late there. Expansion and exploration. Alright, so yeah, we see a pattern here. Certainly. I do hate that DI is picking espionage that often. It's just so frustrating to deal with as a player. But yeah, and then one last nation that we should probably check out are the Occitans, who are still the #1 great power, and by far. They are by far the biggest power in the world, and it's so interesting that they have 2,000 development on their own. Because you wouldn't think so. They're so small and tiny, but most of their development actually comes from Africa. Now that they have, well, Africa and India, ever after they annexed the Tuscans, they really got a lot more development for themselves. But yeah, let's check out their ideas as well. They have also only 7 spots, and once again, yeah, we see no maritime, so no maritime, no influence, no aristocratic, and no naval. Everything else has at least been picked once, but yeah, for the most part, those are the idea groups the AI likes to pick. Okay, that was my short little, yeah, excursion into the various idea groups. Let me see if we have got any new wars. The Irish-Egyptian imperialist war. Now, I think, once again, this is going to be a war that is not really going to end, or not really going to have a great result, particularly, I think. Yeah, there's going to be a few smaller fights going on. There's actually a big naval battle. The Egyptians fighting the English Brazilian colony there, and getting absolutely hammered by this superior navy. They have 8 heavies. I don't think that the Egyptians had any heavies in that fleet, but I might be wrong. They have about 100,000 men stationed in Egyptian India. That is actually looking very nice. And then obviously they protect their homeland with another 100,000 men. So actually 150,000 almost, you could say. Yeah. So they're well set up. They're the ones defending, so as long as they have that army at home, they should do quite well. So the Irish and English, as well as the Occitans, this is actually quite a powerful alliance of people fighting. After all, this is great power #1 and 3 declaring this war here. But still, I think this is not going to go too well. I think the English are going to get occupied. No, they've actually decided to send some troops against this army. And they're not the only ones. The Occitans are over here as well. But so are the Egyptians. They are now sending troops over from their Indian holdings to defend their ally, and that shouldn't really be too difficult, because still I assume that most of the English forces, at least the ones that haven't been absolutely destroyed by the Scots, are still at home, and they're just sitting around doing nothing as per usual, of course. And same with the Occitan forces. I mean, they're all just at home as well. Yeah, and even in North Africa there. Well, I do really wonder if we see any more wars that are particularly... I think this is maybe what I'm looking for. This is a war that could truly be entertaining. The Serbians are involved. The Greek reconquest of Bessarabia. So if the Greeks, the Muscovites, and the Turks are on one side fighting the Ruthenians, Serbs, and Romanians. Okay, so let's quickly check that out on the diplomatic map mode. Okay. Now, the Romanians obviously are very, very small. They have 20,000 men. That's all we can see. I see a 70 stack of the Greeks here. That's probably going to come under pressure as soon as these various fortresses fall. And then the Ruthenians are currently able to do a little bit here. Actually, Romanians, they've got some 70,000 men. really pressuring the eastern front here in Anatolia. But I think the wow, actually Serbia just beat back the Turkish forces here. But there's 100,000 Muscovites. There was just a big battle, certainly going in favor of the Muscovite-Turkish alliance there. And I guess the Greek... Oh, right, that's the Greek alliance. Right, it's the Greeks and Turks and Muscovites on one side going against Ruthenians. So I think their plan was to take out Ruthenia first, which is probably their main target, since obviously, yeah, they lost a lot of lands to Ruthenians, which, by the way, was a war the Greeks declared them on their own. They declared a war without calling in any of their allies, and they had to pay the bill, which was a lot of provinces. But now they're going to take them back, and I think they might not just take back their cores, but they will take some other lands as well. At least that is very possible. As for Serbia, they might also have to give up some lands to, well, both the Turks here in the south. It could be quite possible that these two provinces go to the Turks, whereas this province right here perhaps goes to the Muscovites. That's very possible. We shall see. I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens here, as that will at least see a useful conclusion, interesting peace deal, whereas all the other imperialist wars are just kind of boring. This is gonna end in just a white peace or war operations or something like that, which really doesn't really interest me all that much. Okay, but yeah, the Ruthenian Romanian forces, or Romanian forces, are really doing a good job here in the east. So now the Turks have to actually abandon the Serbian front to go and deal with this. And now they're quickly retreating. They're really fighting a guerrilla-style war, which at this point is the only thing they can really do. But they almost threatened Ankara here. It hasn't fallen, but that would have been quite a feat if they had managed to take that over. They did at least grab some fortifications. Yeah, Kaysera is a fortification, and so is Amasa. A highland fortress, 2 highland fortresses that were being captured here. So yeah, that's certainly useful. They definitely made some progress, and Serbia still hasn't been taken. Okay, once again, who is leading this? It's actually, yeah, it's the Ruthenians leading this, and the Serbs are only the second. Well, I think as soon as their capital falls, which it probably will do soon, they're toast. They're just gonna give in. Yeah, there's so many men besieging their lands. But they do have a lot of fortifications that makes it difficult to break through. I mean, we've got a fortification in Bacchus, Pest, in Shrem, and then in Varazd. So they're really quite well defended. This is no fortification. Have you taken any fortifications yet? No. Oh yeah, Hunyad. Hunyad is a fortress that has actually been taken. Alright. Well, so it's going to take a while until we'll see some peace here. There's some battles going on. The Turks forcing back their enemies into the mountains, and then now actually laying siege to the Romanian fortresses. The capital in Mingrelia, as well as, yeah, Trebizond and Kartli. Now, Kartli actually is not a fortified province. The fortification is in Samtske. Alright, well, overall, though, we know how this war is going to end. It's just, the only thing that's really going to be interesting is how the provinces will be divided. Serbia apparently got out of this war unscathed. Yeah, they did not have to give up any provinces. That's kind of impressive, and this war has ended. It doesn't look like the Greeks took anything extra. They did take, yeah, they did take their cores back, and the Muscovites gained 2 provinces. In Zhytomyr at 23 development and a 31 development province, Chernigov probably was the capital. This may have been the capital of the Ruthenians. I'm not too sure. Maybe Kiev. No, I think Kiev was actually that capital. Still, alright. So the Muscovites made some smaller gains, and the Greeks at least got their cores back. Alright, let's quickly see if there's anything else. There's still just this imperialist war, and the Egyptians are winning this relatively easily, because no one actually bothers to send any forces to their homeland. Their navy is being defeated, but that doesn't really bother them too much, I think. Although the Syrians, they look like they want to do something. They want to have a party here in Egyptian territory, because they had like 100,000 men on the borders. Well, that certainly would be interesting. For now, though, I think I will end this episode here. We checked out some of the idea groups. We checked out some, well, we checked out the reason behind Normandy. Normandy's success. Actually, by the way, Normandy is no, they are still a great power. Okay, never mind. So we checked that out, which I think is kind of interesting. But on this point, I will end it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and we'll be back next time. And we'll soon actually see the conclusion to this series. And if you haven't done already, please let me know who you think is going to win. Is Oxen gonna, or are the Oxens gonna drive it home? I mean, they have a huge advantage here, but they could still lose. Well, okay, I don't think they're gonna lose. Anyways, I'll just end this episode here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you